Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. Today we're going to talk about that wild bunch from Texas, the Butthole Surfers. Butthole Surfers are a band that started in the 80s, and I guess you would say that they made music that drugs sounds like. Like, it is just out there. Nothing sounded like the Butthole Surfers. Nobody did what they were doing. They were totally in a world of their own. They took psychedelic and punk and whatever, indie rock and everything, and they just all mashed it all together and came out with this incredible sound that just sounded like nobody else. And that's what made them so great. To this day, nobody has ever sounded like the Butthole Surfers. They were definitely in their own world. And you've got members that were in Melvins, you've got the members that are in Honky, you've got members that are in Daddy Longhead, which if you're a Mandarin fan, you would know those bands. But, Gibby Haynes has done some solo stuff. Like, the members have just done stuff, a lot of it. And they're just so good at what they do. So, let's get into how I discovered the Butthole Surfers. So I discovered the Butthole Surfers around about 1988. Basically what was happening is that my brother's a bit older, so we had a bunch of older friends and stuff that were always handing around tapes, because that's what you did back then. You tape traded and stuff like that. And a tape came our way that had an album on it that had no writing on it, no song titles, no album title, no band name to go on. So we had no idea what it was. Now, I walked into Veranda Music, which was going at that time, which is a really cool import record store. It had a lot of punk and metal and stuff like that. And I remember saying to George behind the desk, I said, George, there's this band we got given on cassette and we have no idea what the band is called. But the first song starts off with this kid going, Daddy. And immediately he goes, oh, that's the Butthole Surfers. And he pulls out Locust Abortion Technician. And this record is something else. It really is. The intro starts off, like I just mentioned, a kid talking about regret with his dad. And it sounds a little like this.
Daddy?
Yes, son?
What does regret mean?
Well, son, a funny thing about regret is that it's better to regret something you have done than to regret something you haven't done. And by the way, if you see your mom this weekend, would you be sure and tell her, Satan, Satan, Satan!
That riff you would have heard, you may remember it. It's Sweet Leaf by Black Sabbath, but this time the song is called Sweet Loaf. They took that riff, they mixed it up with some other stuff, and you get that. What a way to open an album. The second song is a song called Graveyard, which you can play on both 33 and 45 if you want, and you can actually hear the slowed down words that are in the song. Like, who thinks like that in 1987, which is when this album came out? Like, who thinks like that? But they did. And so having this album, I needed to have it on vinyl because of the fact that you can play songs on 33 or 45 to hear things. This was an album that I remember, remember the Satanic Panic was around, you'd always reverse records. I did a video on that in my Venom video, you can go back and watch. But I remember reversing this record thinking there were hidden messages in it because it is such a weird, strange record. There's a lot of weird sounds going on. And there's a song Pittsburgh to Lebanon, which is really strange. There's a song called Weber, which is just even weirder. A song called Hey, which is basically that, a pile of people saying hey. The only song that actually sounds like an actual song is a song called Human Cannibal that's got choruses, verses and whatever. And it's a great song. I used to put it on every mixtape that I ever made for anybody. It is such a good song. On the flip side, you've got a song called USSA. Then you've got this weird song called The Omen. And then a song called Cunts. And this song called Cunts is basically has a bunch of sitar music going and people saying the word cunts over and over and over again. Classic Butthole Surfers. You've got another version of Graveyard, which is a bit different, and then it finishes with 22 going on 23, which has possibly one of the greatest bass guitar tones in the history of music. Listen to this.
Yes.
I enjoy your show, and I've been trying to get through for quite a while.
Well, we're glad you kept trying.
Thank you. I had this problem last July. I was...
But not only that, while that song is definitely strange, I don't know if that call to the radio station is real or staged, or they just taped it off the radio and chucked it on. I have no idea. I really would love to know the history of that. That song, 22 going on 23, if you thought Tumbleweed were definitely killing it with the chickens on the end of the Captain's Log record, well, the Butthole Surfers finished an album with cows.
And I was one so far for a day. And if he happens to walk in the house, I'm paranoid. I just jump up and turn off the TV. Because he says, is that all you get to do all day? Just sit around and watch TV? And I love to travel. So I've mentioned traveling to him. And his finances are no problem. And he said he did all the traveling that he wanted to do while he was in the service.
So this is definitely my favourite record by Butthole Surfers. I've listened to this, hundreds if not thousands of times. It always gets a play because it's such a classic record. I love it. I love it so much. And I think it's also because it was the first album that I ever heard by the Butthole Surfers. It's such a good record. This is the Butthole Surfers' first album. It's called Psychic Powerless and Other Man's Sack. This is not a first pressing or anything like that. This is a reissue, but I am stoked to have it. I always had it on cassette tape, so I never really bought it whenever I saw the record around. And then all of a sudden, I thought, fuck it, you know what? I don't have a cassette player anymore. I can't listen to all my old tapes. So I need to buy this on record. And so I bought the reissue, which I'm still stoked with because it still sounds awesome. It's such a good record. If you've never heard this one before, I highly recommend you check it out. Rembrandt Pussy Horse. There's your back cover. And why not? This is a really crazy record. Released by Touch and Go Records, this album is weird in all the good ways. And I remember I used to put this on mixtapes for people. There's a song on here called Creep in the Cellar, and I used to always put that on the end of people's mixtapes. And they'd all be saying to me like, what the fuck is that song? That is so fucking weird, and it trips me out. And someone told me that one time they fell asleep in a beanbag and they had the tape going, and that song came on and started messing with them. They woke up from a nightmare. So crazy. Oh man. But yeah, it's such a great record. This is an EP called Widowmaker, another crazy EP. I remember I taped this for the guys in school because the guys in school were all potheads and stuff like that in high school. And there was a song in here called The Bong Song. And so I taped the whole EP for them, and they never listened to any of the other songs. All they did was listen to The Bong Song. That goes to show you the attention span of the stoners at my school. But yeah. Booze, Tobacco, Dope, Pussy, Cars. That's one of the songs. But yeah, really crazy EP, this one. Even though I've never touched a drug in my life, the Butthole Surfers are fucking awesome. And someone told me once, how can you appreciate the Butthole Surfers if you've never tried substances? And I was just like, yeah, I don't think you need to, man. I want to contact high just by listening to music. So yeah, this band rules. This album blows my mind every time I hear it. It is such a weird, strange record. I remember buying this for $8 from Thrash Grind and Grunge. And yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that album title. I don't know where it's from. I don't know what it means. But yeah, really cool record. There is a song in here called Something. And it's actually like a parody of a Jesus and Mary Chain song. You might remember the Jesus and Mary Chain song sounds like this. Well, that same song has been parodied on here as a song called Something, and still has the same annoying high-pitched tones that really, if you listen to this album in headphones and it gets onto that song, you'll be like, when you're trying to pop your ears, you'll be doing that because those tones really get to the annoying stage of like the pitch that annoys our hearing, and those tones hit that pitch. So fucking classic Butthole Surfers, man. That is so classic Butthole Surfers that they would do that. There are 4 versions of a song called Lonesome Bulldog, which is like a country song, and it's pretty funny because it just doesn't seem to end. So good. But yeah, this album rules. Really, really cool. So yeah. There's a song in here called No, I'm Iron Man. So I assumed that they are definitely big Black Sabbath fans. Pairway to Stephen. This is your Go-Go Records pressing, so on the Australian label there. I believe that this album used to come with a poster. Am I correct in thinking that, or was it just the Australian pressing that came with a poster? Mine doesn't have a poster, but for some reason I believe that I was in a record store once and I saw this and it said includes poster. I don't know, but is that right? Can somebody, comment that in the comments below if they bought a copy of this and it had a poster in it? But yeah, so this album is really, really strange. The first song on it, there's the Go-Go Records label there. The first song on this record can be played on 33 or 45, and that's actually how I heard it for the very first time, is that on 3D radio, Julie Graham from Smash It Up or Power Surge or whatever it was, Skate Radio or whatever it was that she used to host, said there was a note on here saying, you can play this on 33 or 45, take your pick. And she played it on 33. And as the song goes on, it starts off really slow, but it gets faster and faster. So you can play it on both speeds and see what happens. It's kind of weird. It's pretty cool, though. I do have the 7-inch of Hurdy Gurdy Man. Hurdy Gurdy Man is a fantastic song, regardless of the cover of it or not. I've always loved the original. There was a TV show that you may remember called Tour of Duty about the Vietnam War, and the soundtrack actually had the Hurdy Gurdy Man on it, which is how I discovered the Hurdy Gurdy Man. So I loved that song immediately. I was like, wow, this is a really, really good song. It sounds really cool. The vocals are really, really unique, and it's just a really good sounding song. And then the Butthole Surfers come out with this really strange version of it, and I think they're kind of like parodying Donovan's vocals because they have this kind of like delay effect on it that sounds like this. The Hurdy Gurdy Man is such a good song. I remember the very first time we saw the video for it on Rage, and we freaked out because we didn't know what they looked like. We didn't know, I mean, these are the photos on the back. I mean, you can't really tell what this band looks like, right? They're great band photos, though. So we didn't know what they looked like. We didn't know anything about them, but this video that comes on, because there was no YouTube back then. You couldn't just go and Google a video if you wanted to see it. But the video came on Rage, and we just all freaked out. Like, oh my God, look at this. We've finally seen what the Butthole Surfers videos are like. And fucking strange, which is why they're so good. Gibby Haynes also did a solo single. This is on Third Man Records. I picked up this one because they do a cover of Adrenaline and OD's Paul's Not Home, which is a great tune. And then you've got two Gibby Haynes originals there on the flip side. And yeah, really, really cool. I love Third Man Records, and I love this Blue Room series. See, there's the label. Let's be honest, there was no band that sounded anything like the Butthole Surfers at the time or since. They really did have their own sound. Now, that is all the records I actually have of Butthole Surfers. I used to have the CD to Independent Worm Saloon, which I won off the Adelaide Street Press because they had copies to give away, and I rang up and said, yeah, I want to win one of those, and I won it. And I don't know where that's gone, so no idea. And I've not bought it on vinyl because I haven't found it yet. I'm hoping that all the other albums get reissued because I don't have them, and I would like to get more Butthole Surfers records on vinyl. But yeah, their stuff just isn't that easy to find here in Australia anymore. Like back in the day, you could find their records used around the place, and you know, every time I went into a punk record store, there was a Butthole Surfers record. But yeah, like as time has gone on, the major label records and you know posts that have been really hard to find on vinyl. So hopefully someone will reissue those and they'll be easier to find. But yeah, the Butthole Surfers. What do you think? Are you a fan? I love them. I really do. I think they're one of the most unique bands of all time. You know, and like I said, nobody sounds like them, and nobody will ever sound like them. You know, they really were in a class all of their own. Well, thank you so much for watching once again another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. Do yourself a favor, go out and buy some records. Buy some Butthole Surfers records if this video has had you intrigued in the awesomeness of the Butthole Surfers. If not, that's cool. Go buy something else. Just something you enjoy. Take care of yourselves, look after each other, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Satan, Satan, Satan.